lysosomes. Okay, when you observe some of the cell organelles which are surrounded, okay, which are bounded by membrane are not included under endomembrane system. Why? Because they are not coordinated with one another. Okay, the functions of these cell organelles are not coordinated with the other cell organelles. They can perform their functions individually. Okay, that's why these like mitochondria, chloroplast, peroxisomes, okay, these are considered as they are not included under the endomembrane system. Okay, only the endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, lysosomes, and vacuoles will form the endomembrane system. Whereas some of the cell organelles like mitochondria, chloroplast, peroxisomes are not included under the endomembrane system. Okay, they were considered as a okay. Why? Because their functions are not coordinated. Okay, but this the functions of whatever the functions that is carried out by the endoplasmic reticulum, it is interlinked with the Golgi complex, lysosomes, and vacuoles. That's why they are interlinked and coordinated, the functions of these cell organelles. That's why they were placed under the endomembrane system. So when you observe here, so we'll discuss about the cell organelles that were forming the part of a endomembrane system. The first one is a endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, the first one is a endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, that is okay. If you want to study the endoplasmic reticulum or any cell organelle, okay, if you want to study in detail about any cell organelle, okay, it cannot be done with a normal microscope. Okay, normal microscope means like a okay compound microscope or a light microscope. Okay, for that we need some specialized microscope called electron microscope. Okay, which has a resolution up to 1 lakh. That means the object is enhanced by 1 lakh times. Then we can able to observe each and every feature of that structure. Even at a molecular level also, we can able to study by using electron microscope. So, okay, we can able to study any cell organelle by using electron microscope. So, there is electron microscopic studies of eukaryotic cells reveal the presence of network or reticulum of a okay, reticulum means network. Here the term reticulum refers to network. That means in a okay in a some scattered manner, thin tubular structures like so reveals the presence of a network or a reticulum of a tiny tubular structures scattered in the cytoplasm. This is called endoplasmic reticulum. This is called endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, we can see here. Okay, these are the okay small tubular structures which are present in the cytoplasm. Okay, now okay these tubular structures which are scattered in the cytoplasm, we are calling it as a endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, precisely when you observe the fluid part of the cell, we are calling it as cytoplasm. Okay, the the fluid part of the cell, we are calling it as a cytoplasm. Okay, when you observe here, if you observe very clearly, the cytoplasm is further differentiated into two components. Okay, when you observe towards the outer region, that is towards the plasma membrane, The cytoplasm is a little bit thick, jelly-like, thick and jelly-like, and that is called ectoplasm. Whereas the fluid or the cytoplasm or the fluid part of the cell, which is present towards the inner side, towards the inner side, is more fluidy, and calling it as and that we are calling it as endoplasm. Okay, ectoplasm, endoplasm. Generally, when you observe the cell organelles are present in the endoplasm. Okay, that fluid, more fluid substance. Okay, in that, okay, we'll observe this tubular structure scattered in that cytoplasm or endoplasm, and this tubular scattered structures we are calling it as a endoplasmic reticulum. We are calling it as a endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, that is hence endoplasmic reticulum divides the intracellular space into two distinct compartments. Okay, that means the endoplasmic reticulum is large in quantity. Okay, more of endoplasmic reticulum will be is okay. More amount of endoplasmic reticulum is present. Okay, when you observe this endoplasmic reticulum, okay, because the presence of this endoplasmic reticulum, the cell, okay, the cell is differentiated into the cytoplasm is differentiated into two compartments. That is the intracellular space, that is the cytoplasm, is differentiated into two compartments. That is luminal, that is the space that is enclosed inside the endoplasmic reticulum, luminal space or luminal okay compartment, okay, inside endoplasmic reticulum, and extraluminal cytoplasm is outside the endoplasmic reticulum. Outside the endoplasmic reticulum, whatever the space that is enclosed inside the cell, but outside endoplasmic reticulum. But outside endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, that we are calling it as a extraluminal compartment. Okay, the space that is enclosed inside the tubular structure of endoplasmic reticulum, we are calling it as a okay luminal compartment, and whatever the cytoplasm that is present or the space that is whatever the space that is present inside the cell outside the endoplasmic reticulum of the cytoplasm, we are calling it as a extraluminal compartment. Okay? That is that means the presence of okay endoplasmic reticulum, the cytoplasm is divided into two compartments, luminal compartment and extraluminal compartment. Okay, and next, the endoplasmic reticulum often shows ribosomes attached to their outer surface. Okay, that means in most cases, the endoplasmic reticulum, okay, in most cases, that means more often, okay, the surface of the endoplasm, the outer surface of the endoplasmic reticulum is associated with ribosomes. So that's what he's saying. The endoplasmic reticulum often shows ribosomes attached to their outer surface. The endoplasmic reticulum bearing ribosomes on their surface is called rough endoplasmic reticulum. In simple, okay, in abbreviated form, we say RER. Okay, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, what this rough endoplasmic reticulum indicates means it indicates the presence of ribosomes on the surface of endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, that is okay. In the absence of ribosomes, they appear smooth and are called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, in the absence of ribosomes, okay, that means some of the endoplasmic reticulum do not show any ribosomes on their outer surface. So, in the absence of ribosomes, they appear smooth and are called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. And are called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So, what is the function of this rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum? Okay, when you observe the rough endoplasmic reticulum, RER, is frequently observed in the cells actively involved in protein synthesis and secretion. Okay, those cells which are actively involved in protein synthesis and secretion, protein synthesis and secretion. Okay, such rough endoplasmic reticulum are usually involved in a protein, okay, protein synthesis, and they are present in the cells, okay, which are mainly involved in a protein synthesis. Okay, that means, okay, the cells which are involved in protein synthesis have got a more rough endoplasmic reticulum. At the same, okay, or we can say like this, okay, in which, okay, in whatever the cells the rough endoplasmic reticulum is present, those cells are mainly involved in protein synthesis and secretion. They are synthesized and they are secreted. So, okay, when you observe here, and next, when you observe this rough endoplasmic reticulum, this rough endoplasmic reticulum is mainly formed as the extension of the nuclear membrane. You can see here, okay, this is nucleus. Okay, this is nucleus. Okay, this is nucleus. So this is the nuclear membrane. Okay, we can observe the nuclear membrane only extended to form this endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, this nucleus, and this is a nuclear membrane, and the nuclear membrane only extended to form the tubular structures called a rough, okay, endoplasmic reticulum. And most of this endoplasmic reticulum which are associated with the nucleus, okay, or which are formed as the extension of the nuclear membrane, they are most often they are possessed with ribosomes. That is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, that is, okay, they are extensive and continuous with the outer membrane of the nucleus. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum is a major site for the synthesis of lipid. Okay, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is the major site for the synthesis of lipid. In animal cells, lipid-like steroidal hormones are synthesized in a smooth endoplasmic reticulum. That means those endoplasmic reticulum which are not associated with the ribosome, we are commonly calling as a smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, this smooth endoplasmic reticulum is mainly involved in a lipid synthesis or lipid metabolism. You can say synthesis of lipids or a lipid metabolism. Okay, okay, in a, okay, especially when you observe the animal cells. Okay, in the animal cells which are mainly involved in a lipid synthesis, or okay, the hormones, the steroid hormones which are lipid like, which are synthesized from lipid like materials, they are also synthesized in a smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, the steroids are nothing but derived lipids. Okay, steroids are nothing but derived lipids, a type of lipids. Okay, they are derived lipids. So when you observe this steroid hormones, which are lipid-like nature, okay, they are usually synthesized in the smooth endoplasmic reticulum of most of the animal cells. Okay, that is. So the rough endoplasmic reticulum is involved in protein synthesis. Okay, this protein synthesis is mainly because of the presence of ribosomes on its surface, not by their own. Because of the presence of ribosomes on its surface, the rough endoplasmic reticulum is involved in protein synthesis. But when it comes to smooth endoplasmic reticulum, it by itself, it is involved in a lipid metabolism, and it is mainly involved in the formation of lipid-like steroidal hormones. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, that is about this endoplasmic reticulum. Anybody is having any doubt?
Sir.
Okay. And next, coming to Golgi apparatus. Okay, another cell organelle that is the part of endomembrane system, that is the Golgi apparatus, or we can also call it as a Golgi complex. It is made up of some complex structures, a large number of small structures. Together, we are calling it as this Golgi apparatus, or we can also call it as Golgi complex. Okay, when you observe this Golgi apparatus was first observed by Camillo Golgi in the year 1898. Okay, Camillo Golgi in the year 1898 first observed densely stained reticular structures near the nucleus. And he named those structures as Golgi apparatus because of the discovery by his, okay, based upon his name. Okay, Camillo Golgi first observed densely stained. That means while he was staining, when he stained the cells, okay, some of the structures near the nucleus were darkly stained, okay, which are present in the form of reticular structures. Okay, these darkly stained reticular structures which are present near the nucleus. Okay, we are calling it as Golgi apparatus, which were discovered by Camillo Golgi in 1898. Okay, these were later named Golgi bodies after him. Just he said that some darkly stained structures are present near the nucleus. Okay, what is their function? What is present inside that? That one he didn't. Simply saying he observed that some darkly stained structures are present near the nucleus. Later, after the discovery of the electron microscope, okay, they clearly examined these structures, and they were as Golgi bodies after the person who discovered that. And next, they consist of many flat. Some of the structures are flat, some are disc shaped. Sacs means okay, inside that structure some lumen, some space or some lumen is present inside. Okay, that's why we say disc shaped sacs or cisternae of 0.5 micrometers to 1.0 micrometers diameter. Okay, they consist of many flat disc shaped sacs or cisternae of 0.5 micrometers to 1 micrometer diameter of width. They are very minute, 0.5 micrometers to 1 micrometer diameter. Okay, and next, when you observe here, these structures, these are stacked parallel to each other. Okay, these structures are like stacked. Stacked means like layers, one above the other, in the form of layers. That's why we are okay. When you keep a book, okay, a bundle of books one above the other, that is called stack of books. Like that. Here also, okay, this sack-like structures are placed one above the other in the form of a stack. Okay, stacked parallel. Okay, these are stacked parallel to each other. And next, the number of cisternae varies from one Golgi complex to another Golgi complex in different ways. So there is a varied number of cisternae are present in a Golgi complex. Okay, that means we'll find a different sack-like structures will be differed in number. Okay, in different Golgi complex. And next, the Golgi cisternae are concentrically arranged near the nucleus with a distinct convex cis or the forming phase and the concave trans or the maturing phase. The cis and trans phases of the organelle are entirely different but interconnected. Okay, convex and concave. Convex means elevated part. Concave means the depressed part. Okay, we can see here. Okay, this is the convex and this is the convex region. Okay, this is the forming phase. This is the trans phase. Okay, that is it. Okay, these two surfaces are different. They have got different functions, but they are interconnected. The functions are interconnected. They are structurally interconnected. The forming phase and the trans phase. Cis phase and trans phase. Cis phase are a forming phase. Okay. Concave or trans phase. Okay. Of the organelle are entirely different but interconnected. Interconnected. Okay, that is it. The Golgi, what is there? Okay, the Golgi apparatus principally performs the functioning of packaging material to be delivered either to the intracellular targets or secreted outside of the cell. Okay, we already said the proteins and the lipids are synthesized in the endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum is involved in protein synthesis, and a smooth endoplasmic reticulum is involved in lipid synthesis. Okay, these okay, they are produced, but they are not in an active form. Okay, but they are not produced in an active form. Okay, that active form, that transformation of inactive form of proteins or lipids are done in the Golgi complex. Okay, whatever substances that are produced in the endoplasmic reticulum, whether it may be rough or smooth, okay, they are packed in the form of vesicles and they are transported to the Golgi complex. And in the Golgi complex, they are processed and finally they are transformed into the chemicals that are required for the cell, and they are either released into the cytoplasm of the cell of its own, or they are secreted outside of the cell, depending upon the requirement. That is what he is saying. So the Golgi apparatus principally performs the functioning of packaging materials to be delivered either to the intracellular targets, that means whatever the requirements of the cell, within the cell, or secreted outside the cell. requires any substances to be secreted outside, that also be released outside. Okay, and this explains. Okay, when you observe here, materials to be packed in the form of vesicles from the endoplasmic reticulum fuse with the cis phase of the Golgi apparatus and move towards the maturing phase. Okay, this explains why the Golgi apparatus remains in close association with the endoplasmic reticulum. So we already said the endoplasmic reticulum is present close to the nucleus. It is formed generally as the extension of the nuclear membrane. And at the same time, when you observe the Golgi complex is also present near the nucleus. Why? Because to coordinate the functions of all these structures. Because whatever the components that are required for the nucleus, the proteins, enzymes, and all that, and all other chemicals, the nucleotide molecules, whichever they are synthesized, they are transported to the. That's why we are saying the Golgi complex is providing the substances to the cell as well as outside the cell. Whatever the substances that are synthesized, okay, inside the, okay, whatever the substances that are synthesized inside the cell, okay, that are produced, okay, that are transformed into active forms in the Golgi complex, and they are released to the cell. At the same time, whatever the substances that are required to the outside of the cell, that are also secreted by the Golgi complex, whatever it is. So that means the Golgi complex need to be present very close to endoplasmic reticulum and the nucleus. Then only the functions can be coordinated. So that is whatever the substances that are synthesized in the endoplasmic reticulum, they are enclosed inside the vesicles, and in the form of vesicles, they are transported to the cis phase, that is the forming phase, and it fuses with the membrane of the Golgi complex, and releases the substances into the Golgi complex, and they are, okay, the materials are processed, and finally the processed materials are released from the trans phase of the Golgi complex. Okay, that's right. And next, a number of proteins synthesized by ribosomes on the endoplasmic reticulum are modified in the cisternae of Golgi apparatus before they are released from its transphase. So that means whatever the proteins that are synthesized in the endoplasmic reticulum, they are enclosed inside the vesicles, and they are transported to the Golgi complex, and they enters into the Golgi complex through cis phase or forming phase, and the proteins are processed, and finally the processed proteins are released from the trans phase of Golgi complex. Okay, trans phase of Golgi complex. And next, Golgi apparatus is the important site of formation of glycoproteins and glycolipids. Okay, Golgi apparatus is the important site of formation of glycoproteins and glycolipids. So that means, okay, in a rough endoplasmic reticulum, proteins are synthesized. In smooth endoplasmic reticulum, lipids are synthesized. And later, these two are processed and resulting in the formation of lipoproteins or carbohydrate with proteins, glycoproteins. All they are okay. There is the glycoproteins and the glycolipids are processed in the Golgi complex, and finally they are released into the cell or out secreted outside of the cell. And all this process will be done by the Golgi complex. Okay, that is. And next, okay, and okay, that is about the Golgi complex. Anybody is having any doubt regarding Golgi complex?
No, sir.
Okay. And next, coming to lysosomes. Okay, you might have studied in your lower class. Lysosomes are called suicidal bags of the cell. Okay, suicide means it will not destroy okay, the cells which are actively functioning. It will not destroy the normal cells. Okay, the cell will not be destroyed when it is actively functioning or when it is required for the when the cell is worn out or whenever any infection occurs, when any infected organism enters into that cell. Okay, any pathogen enters into that okay cell, then it will destroy its own. Okay, by destroying its cell, it is destroying the pathogen and also the multiplication of that pathogen also. Or the cell, if its time is over, that means that the lifespan of that cell is over. Different cells in our body are having different lifespans. Once their lifespan is completed, they have to be destroyed. In that case, these lysosomes are useful. Why? Because these lysosomes are membrane structures which will enclose different different proteolytic enzymes or hydrolytic proteolytic, that is not only protein digesting, okay, different substances digesting, that is we say hydrolytic enzymes. That means okay, they will break the molecules by adding water molecule. Okay, by adding a water molecule, that means with the utilization of water molecule, they are breaking the complex molecules into simple molecules. That's why we are calling it as a hydrolytic enzymes. Okay, all of these two enzymes are hydrolytic enzymes only. Okay, that's why, okay, they say, okay, after taking the meal, they'll ask you to take a lot of water because all these chemical reactions that are involved in digestion are all the physico-chemical reactions that are taking place in the digestive system. Okay, they are all related with the water, the enzymes, hydrolytic enzymes. The same manner we'll find some enzymes enclosed inside the lysosomes. Okay, that's what we can see here. So these are membrane bound vesicular structures. Okay, round or oval shaped structures, small oval round structures. Okay, that's why we are saying bound vesicular structures formed by the process of packaging in the Golgi apparatus. So the lysosomes are formed from the Golgi complex. Okay, the lysosomes are formed from the Golgi complex by process of packaging. That means while packaging, okay, while packing the certain substances which need to be transported either to the inside the cell or outside the cell. Okay, during that, these vesicular structures are developed, which we are calling as lysosomes. And next, the isolated lysosomal vesicles have been found to be very rich in almost all types of hydrolytic enzymes. Okay, when they taken out one of the lysosome, and they break open the membrane and they observe the chemical analysis of this substance that is present inside the lysosome. They found that most of the substance that is present in the lysosome consists of hydrolytic enzymes. Okay, hydrolytic enzymes. Okay, when you observe this hydrolytic enzymes, what are these hydrolytic enzymes means? They are commonly called hydrolysis because they are using water to break down these complex molecules. That's why we are calling it as hydrolysis. Hydrolysis like lipases, proteases, carbohydrate. That means all the digestive enzymes which are involved in the digestion of lipids, that is lipases. Okay, digestion of proteins, that is proteases. Digestion of carbohydrates, that is carbohydrates. Okay, optimally active at the acidic pH. Okay, the enzymes that are present inside the vacuoles are active at acidic nature. That's why even when these enzymes are released into the blood, they do not cause any harm to our cells or body. Why? Because okay, our body is having okay, slightly alkaline in nature. Okay, slightly alkaline in nature. So these enzymes will never become active when they are, even when they are released outside. They are active only inside the inside the lysosomes because of the pH, that is acidic pH. And these enzymes are capable of digesting carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Okay, as they are hydrolyses by using water molecule, they break this complex molecule of carbohydrates, proteins, fats. There is a lipid fats or lipids and nucleic acids. So their main purpose is digestion. Okay, their main purpose is digestion. Okay, and next the other structures that are associated with the endomembrane. Okay, the cell or the other cell organelle which is associated with the endomembrane system is vacuoles. Okay, when you observe the vacuole is a membrane bound space found in the cytoplasm. Vacuole is a membrane bound space in the cytoplasm. It contains water, sap, vacuolar sap, excretory products. Sometimes some cells will store the excretory products and other materials not useful for the cell. So when you observe the vacuole usually consists of water. Okay, it is equal to the osmotic concentration of the cytoplasm. Okay, the sap and the fluid which is consisting of different chemical substances inside the vacuole, we are calling it as sap. And the excretory products, some of the in animals means we'll find the excretory organs to eliminate the waste materials. Okay, to eliminate the waste materials in animals we'll have excretory organs. In different animals we'll find different excretory organs and they help in excretion. But in plants such excretory organs are not there. Then what happens? That means okay, you think that there are the waste materials or nitrogenous waste materials are not produced in plant, they'll produce. they will produce. Okay, because of different physiological activities between different metabolism, carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism, protein metabolism, nucleic acid metabolism, that is synthesis. Okay, during this metabolic activities, different nitrogenous waste or waste materials are produced. But these waste material, there is no mechanism to send out this waste material. Then what happens with these waste materials? If they are placed inside the cell in the cytoplasm, they become toxic. So they should be either removed or stored in a different form, which does not harm the health of the animal. Okay, in that case, these vacuoles play a very, very important role. Okay, these vacuoles will help in a okay, so all these materials get stored in these vacuoles. Okay, already we said very clearly while we are discussing about secondary growth, heartwood, sapwood. Okay, when you observe the heartwood, it is a dark gray in color. Why? Because the deposition of different chemical substances and increases the durability of the wood. That is because of this only. Okay, the vacuole is bound by a single membrane called tonoplast. Okay, when you observe, okay, the vacuole is surrounded by a single membrane, and that membrane we are calling it as a tonoplast. Remember, so many times they have asked in the examination. Okay. Okay, in plant cells, the vacuoles can occupy up to 90% of the volume of the cell. Okay, 90% of the volume of the cell. Okay, we can see in plant cells, the vacuole, okay, is large. The vacuole is large. Okay, due to the presence of a single large vacuole, the nucleus is also pushed to one side. While we are discussing about plant cell, we discussed this one. So why this nucleus is pushed aside? Because the presence of single large central vacuole. So this vacuole only occupies, and the peripheral cytoplasm, a thin layer of a peripheral cytoplasm will find. So the major part of the plant cell is occupied by the vacuole, large central vacuole. Okay, in plant cells, the vacuoles can occupy up to 90% of the volume of the cell. Okay, in plant cells, the vacuoles can occupy up to 90% of the volume of the cell. And next, in plants, okay, in plants, the tonoplast facilitates the transport of a number of ions and other materials against concentration gradients into the vacuole. Hence, their concentration is significantly higher in the vacuole than in the cytoplasm. So when you observe the vacuoles, okay, that means that these waste materials, okay, the waste materials are ions. Okay, whatever the materials, okay, they are usually transported by active transport. That means because here the concentration or the concentration of the vacuolar sap, the fluid that is present inside the vacuole, we call it as vacuolar sap. The concentration of the vacuolar sap is usually higher when compared to the concentration of the cytoplasm. Why? Because of the active transport of different ions and other chemicals into the vacuole for storage. So in plants, the tonoplast facilitate the transport of number of ions and other materials against the concentration gradients into the vacuole. Hence, their concentration is significantly higher in the vacuole than in the cytoplasm because, okay, as the ions and other substances are transported by active transport across the vacuolar membrane into the vacuole, from the cytoplasm into the vacuole, usually the concentration of vacuolar sap is higher when compared to the cytoplasm. Okay, that is some of the vacuoles that this is about the vacuoles that are associated with the plant cells. In the same manner, the vacuoles are also present in the animal cells, especially in the lower group of animals. Okay, that is unicellular animals, animal-like organisms like protozoans, especially the freshwater unicellular protozoans like amoeba. In amoeba, the contractile vacuole is important for osmoregulation and excretion. Okay, in amoeba, the contractile vacuole is important for osmoregulation and excretion. Okay, in amoeba, the contractile vacuole is important for osmoregulation and excretion. Okay, osmoregulation is maintenance of water balance, osmotic balance, maintenance of water balance or osmotic balance. That means, in freshwater, what is the problem with the freshwater means? Okay, that means the organisms that are living in freshwater are also having some problems. Not only the organisms that are present in marine water will only, generally will think that the animals that are present in marine water only have some problem because that water is not capable for drinking purpose. Okay, it is not consumptible. That's what we think. But the organisms which are living in marine water, they are having certain problems, and the organisms that are living in freshwater also will have certain problems. That is, what is the problem with the freshwater organisms means? When compared to the concentration of the cytoplasm, the concentration of the water that is present in the environment is very low. The water concentration is very low in freshwater when compared to the concentration of cytoplasm of the cell. Because of the difference in that concentration, what happens? We know very well the water always moves from the region of lower concentration to the region of higher concentration. Or we can say the water always moves from the region of higher potential. If the concentration of that solution is low means, its water potential is high. And if the concentration is high means the water potential is low. So the water will always move from the region of a higher water potential to the region of a lower water potential. So here the water will move from the environment into the unicellular animals because they're by osmosis, which we called as endosmosis. Entry of water into the cell, we are calling it as endosmosis. But we all know very well the animal cells do not have cell wall. They possess only the plasma membrane. Okay, the plasma membrane is having certain elastic nature. Up to its elastic nature, it can be the pressure that is exerted by the water that is entered into the cell. If water is further entering into the cell beyond its elastic nature, the plasma membrane will burst and resulting in the destruction of that cell or destruction of that organism. So to prevent that one, in case of unicellular animals like amoeba, we'll find some specialized vacuoles called contractile vacuoles. What is the function of this contractile vacuoles means? These contractile vacuoles will absorb the excess water, or okay, takes the excess water that is present in the cytoplasm and send it outside, thus maintaining the osmotic balance. Okay, and it means okay, while it is releasing this excess water, it will also, or while it is okay, in taking the excess water, along with that some excretory products that are present inside the animal cell are also collected, and they are also sent along with this excess water, the excretory products. That's why we say the contractile vacuoles are involved in two functions. One is osmoregulation and the second one is excretion. Okay, there is. And next, in some unicellular animal like organisms like protozoans or protists, in many cells as in protists, food vacuoles are formed by engulfing the food particles. So in case of unicellular animals, how the food is digested means the food is digested in vacuoles called as food vacuoles. That is, they capture the prey, and around the prey they secrete a certain membrane, and through that membrane they release different enzymes, and these enzymes will digest that organism that is present inside the vacuole called food vacuole, and the food get digested. Okay, that is so. So in many cells as in protists, food vacuoles are formed by engulfing the food particles, engulfing the food particles. Okay, that is about the different structures that are associated with the endomembrane system.